So we know with only 2 episodes left that even though some questions were answered and then tossed aside, there still remains a lot more questions. And the number one question a lot of people obviously have is who's really behind the whole TVA ordeal? Who's behind this whole TVA situation? And a lot of people have assumed that it's going to be sort of a Wizard of Oz like revelation, like it's going to be revealed that somebody's pulling the strings behind the scenes. But who is it? You know, who is this person behind the scenes that's pulling the strings? And a lot of names have popped up. You know, I've guessed some, others have pretty much guessed the same. And, you know, even someone like John Campea, you know, has kind of been like, yeah, that would make sense in this context. Especially when you consider that a lot of these shows, you know, on Disney Plus are supposed to tie in to the overall arc in MCU. Not sure about Cloak and Dagger since they're on Freeform and Hulu and all of them. Not sure about them. But, you know, we could assume, hold on for a sec. We can assume that maybe they might have some connection down the line. Just had to check something right there. But we could assume they might have some connection down the line. Maybe. But as far as the MCU films go on Disney Plus, we know that 2 out of the 3 that have come out so far have connections to upcoming movies. We know that WandaVision ties into Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, and Loki is going to have some connection to, you know, Thor Love and Thunder, and potentially maybe Guardians 3 or even Eternals. We know at least 2 of those 3 this show is going to have a connection in. But again, getting back on topic, the question obviously is, though, who's the one pulling the strings right now when it comes to the Loki series? Like, who's the one that's going to cause Loki to have that connection in some capacity, if you know what I mean? And, you know, like I said, a lot of people have guessed a lot of guesses. You know, a lot of names. John Campea, just Alex, or Alex from the Just Alex and Alex Knows Everything YouTube channels. You know, a lot of people that's reviewed and, you know, talked about and, you know, kind of, you know, analyzed and gave theories on. A lot of people have, you know, come up with a lot of different names. But the question obviously is, out of all those names, who is the number one suspect? Like, who's the number one guy or person or entity behind this? And I came up with a couple of answers myself. And these are my 5 answers. The 5 answers I have. And some of the names are going to be the names I'm sure a lot of people like, you know, Andre Meadows, you know, John Campea, Joe Vargas, you know, Just Alex, and even John Campea have all kind of come up with. Some of them might be. The first one, obviously, is another Loki variant. I would have the first, you know, and the reason I choose the first, and the reason I say it number 1, you got a Loki variant behind it, is because we know there's different versions of Loki out there, obviously. But the question is, what version of Loki, what variant of Loki, I should say, is pulling the strings here? And my opinion, it's got to be Prime Loki. In other words, it's got to be the legit Loki. Like, you know, all these because you see, anytime a franchise does a multiverse a situation, alternate reality situation, there's always one reality that's pinpointed as the prime reality, where all of this pretty much spun off from, if you will. In my opinion, I think that if it is a Loki variant, it's got to be a Loki variant from the Prime MCU, from the Prime Marvel Universe. Not the Kevin Feige one, but a Prime one, like where it all began. That's the Loki I think that could be behind it. So that's my first choice. Second choice, is, of course, Mephisto. You know, because we're always thinking, okay, is he going to show up? They obviously have a picture of him in a stained glass window, you know, as the creator, or basically dubbing him as the creator, you know, when Loki shows up in the TVA. So him being the second suspect, or second top suspect, as the one behind the scenes pulling the strings, would make sense. Because even when Sylvie has, you know, has what's her name, Ragne or RGB or whatever her name is, Ravi or Ravi or whatever. I can't think of it right now. It's too early. It's early. I just got up. But the girl that basically is now running the TVA, or running it supposedly, the one that took Sylvie as a kid when she was still a soldier. Yeah, you know. Basically, like I said, the second suspect could be Mephisto, because like I said, when Loki shows up, he sees him, you know, known as the creator in the stained glass window when he shows up at the TVA. So you have to wonder if this woman in charge, supposedly in charge of the TVA, could be working for Mephisto, or is Mephisto in disguise? Now I'm not going to say the latter is true, seeing as though she was kind of fearful of Sylvie and what Sylvie was probably going to do. But my assumption is, in the next episode, we're going to find out that even though he won't be mentioned by name yet, we're going to get a hint that if Mephisto's in charge, she's going to indicate something of, the person I'm working for, let's just say I had to sell my soul to. So, you know, that could be him. So that could be one way of bringing him in, because it has been rumored that he's going to show up. People thought WandaVision would be the show he would be indicated in, but I've got a feeling it's going to be this one. I got a feeling that if it's not a Prime Loki variant, it's going to be Mephisto. That's the second choice. But the question would be, why is he here? Why would Mephisto be here in the MCU? What would his, you know, end goal be? We don't know yet, but if it's what I think it could be, you know, or at least some kind of adaptation, I know one thing, Linkara, Lewis Lovehog, will not be happy with that if we get some kind of variation of that adapted to the big screen, you know, because of him showing up. But he's the second choice. The third choice has to be Kang the Conqueror. We know Kang the Conqueror's going to be in Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. We know that. But, you know, basically, what does his presence in Loki have to do with that? Well, if Kang is about, you know, conquering all time and space and bending reality to his will, or whatever the case may be, then, you know, trying to control all realities and all of time, you know, fits kind of right into that. It fits right into that situation, into that goal. Hold on for a sec. It fits right into that goal. Just checking something again, guys. But like I said, it fits, you know, right into that goal of his, of wanting to, you know, make that a reality for him. So everything that, you know, Kang the Conqueror is about in the comics that could be brought over to the MCU, you know, and seen in Ant-Man and Wasp, you know, Quantumania, if you will, you know, Quantumania, I would assume will begin here, just because of the fact that, you know, the TVA is kind of based in that, you know, situation, kind of based in that scenario. Hold on for a sec. It's kind of based in that scenario, if you will. You know, it's kind of based in that scenario, and that, I mean, basically the series is set up that way. The series, you know, I'm just checking something as well. The series basically is set up that way to where, you know, it would be the perfect, you know, place for someone like Kang the Conqueror to show up in and kind of begin the journey towards Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. So we'll see. But he is the third suspect on my list. The third suspect. The fourth suspect is the Watchers. The Watchers, in my opinion, would fit perfectly. We know they showed up in the MCU. I think they showed up in one of the Thor movies. I'm not really sure. One of the Guardian movies. So we know they're there. Or even one of the Avenger films. I can't remember. I know they showed up in one of those series of films so far. And one of them was Stan Lee, the late great Stan Lee. So we know they exist in the MCU. And we know that even in animated form they're going to show up in the What If series. So to me, the Watchers being the ones in charge of the TVA, I think makes sense. I think makes tremendous sense because they watch all of reality, and what they want to make sure is that despite there being alternate realities, that the timelines in all those realities have to remain intact, that all the events that occur in those realities have to happen. So the Watchers, in my opinion, are another option. Again, they're not, now here's the thing, they're not the best options, I will give you that. You know, because the three I listed off are the three most likely candidates people have been bringing up a lot. But the Watchers, in my opinion, are another name or another group of entities that I think fits right into what's going on right now. They have proven to be more powerful than even, you know, the Asgardians and even the Infinity Stones and stuff. So, you know, I would not put it past them to, you know, to be the ones behind this. Maybe not, like I said, on the top tier of those that I've listed and others have listed, but in my opinion, I think they fit in that category. I think they fit in the category. Like, you know, they could be the kind that Kevin Feige throws in there for a curve as the ones behind it. And last but not least, the last one I have to bring up is Galactus. I know this is a far-fetched one. I know John Campia, when he sees my question super chat to him later today that I posted yesterday, that he and Rob may blow it off. Maybe they won't. But the other option has to be Galactus. Because we know that in the comics, Galactus has a herald, if you will. Someone that scouts out planets and stuff for him to feed upon. So what better way to, you know, satisfy his hunger, what better way to satisfy his hunger, if you will, than to have someone like this girl that's supposedly in charge of the TVA be a herald in disguise that's going off and, you know, scouting all these different realities and stuff, and, you know, capturing all these different variants to be potentially future heralds themselves. It would make sense, you know, because you want to have someone. I mean, think about it. You have a herald. Galactus, basically being as powerful as he is, could have a herald in different, you know, alternate realities, opening portals for him maybe, or gateways, or whatever they're called, doors to come in and, you know, feed upon, you know, the planets there to satisfy his hunger, to appease his hunger. So, to me, you know, this girl being in charge of the TVA, you know, could be, you know, being a herald in disguise and then bringing in these people, these TVA agents that are variants themselves, and potentially making them into heralds down the line, or when the time is right, would make a lot of sense. Especially if they're from different realities, you pretty much plant the seeds for Galactus to travel to these other realities to devour those planets to satisfy his hunger. But again, the reason he's the last one I want to list is he's more of that long shot kind of deal, if you know what I mean. So overall, those are my choices. Those are my picks as the ones that could be behind the curtain. You know, the ones that could be pulling the strings of this whole TVA. Because even the girl that took Sylvie as a child, you know, who's running the place now, when Sylvie asked her why she kidnapped her as a kid, even she couldn't say she doesn't know. That, oh, for her, it was basically just another day. But she couldn't remember exactly why she was sent to get her. So that tells me that just like, you know, the rest of the TVA agents whose memories are being suppressed until Sylvie unlocks them, which is a reason why I think the TVA was after her, because they see that she is the only one out there, that she and any of the other Lokis out there are the only ones that could do this. You know, basically, like I said, she can't remember why she did it, but like I said, it does tell me that somebody else is pulling the strings, because, you know, if the other TVA agents, like I said, and like I said, I'm sorry, it's still early, I just woke up a little bit ago. But if the other TVA agents are having their memories suppressed and only unlocked when Sylvie touched them to see that they had other lives outside of the TVA, you know, it would make sense that the girl in charge would also have her memories suppressed and locked up by whoever's running the whole gambit. So, in my opinion, whoever is running the whole gambit sees that Sylvie is a threat. That she being a variant Loki maybe, and you have this Tom Hiddleston Loki, you know, that they pretty much look at any kind of Lokis of any kind as a threat to them, because they can unlock the memories of the TVA agents that have been suppressed. So honestly, in my opinion, you know, it would make sense that somebody else is running things, somebody that has the power to do that. And again, these are my 5 choices of those that run into it. And like I said, the reason Galactus and the Watchers are like at 4 and 5 is because even though they could be the ones that are revealed as a twist, the ones that I mentioned as the top 3, you know, Kang, Mephisto, and a variant Loki, possibly from the Prime Marvel Universe, are the most likely ones that a lot of people feel are behind the entire situation. So we'll see what happens. And you know, I would not be surprised that one of the ways Sylvie finds a way to help fix this is she basically says, I'm not a Loki. I'm not Loki. I'm Enchantress. If she kind of renames herself that would be very Loki-ish. Like, hey, all you have to do is change your name. Boom, things get balanced out, things get fixed. So we'll see. But again, those are just my top choices for who I think could be behind all of this. And again, I do apologize if I sound like I stumbled a little bit. I walked up a little bit to try to check things. It's early, and you know, I'm still waking up. I got my cup of coffee here, so I just thought I'd come on here where I got the opportunity while my mom's off getting her car looked at, and to give you my thoughts on what's going on. And that's all I'm gonna say, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. I am out.